Up next on Motorsport Report, our exclusive sit-down interview with three-time Indy 500 champion Helio Castroneves as we talk safety, sports car, speed, and much more. This season was your first full season in sports car racing. How did it feel to kind of be a rookie at 43 again?
I'll be honest, Julie, it was hard. It was hard to all of a sudden, after 20 years, being in that environment, basically in the same office for so long, you going to the same place, same tracks. It was difficult to switch. Plus, normally we race in IndyCar. Used to race from March to September. So, come summertime, it's like every weekend, it's like racing, which is great. It gets really hectic, and all of a sudden you come to IMSA. We start January first of all. And then it's once a month, you know, kind of like, it's a different pace, it's a little slower, and you're not used to that. You're like, wow. The good news is for me, the transition got a little bit better because I'm still in the same team. So the same guys that I worked for a long time, same engineers that I worked for a long time. So that at least helped me make this transition of IndyCar open wheel to a sports car a little bit better. So when we got talking about a racetrack, they knew what I meant, relation to the setups and things that I wanted. But it was certainly hard. And I tell you what, it's actually overwhelmed to see so many drivers. We just talk about Felipe and Nasser, but so many other drivers that I raced against before. And all of a sudden you're like, wow, I can't believe it. We're seeing each other again. Romain Duman is another one that I raced a long time ago when I did some tryouts with the Porsche Spider, Timo Bernard. Obviously right now, Bourdais and my fellas friends from IndyCar, they're still coming back. All of a sudden you see this, you're racing against a phenomenal talent people. So it's actually a great group of people and very professional. So I'm happy that I'm still racing, pushing, and can't wait for next year.
And it was Penske's first shot at sports cars since 2009.
Correct.
The two Acuras finished 5th and 7th in the championship, but I think everyone would agree that you had quite a bit of bad luck, and the Acura was very fast.
No, the car was phenomenal. The Acura team did a phenomenal job. We did face challenge, but I don't think challenge of performance because we were fast. We show a lot of potential. The rules about BOP, it was something that I learned this year. It was very frustrating. And I think everybody, when I moved to the series, they said, you're going to hear a lot about BOP. I'm like, what is BOP? What the heck is that? Until someone said balance of performance. I'm like, oh, okay. I got that, but what happened? So they take power away if you were going too fast. I'm like, oh, that's not good. But I learned the lesson. I understand. We understood how tough. Hopefully the rules next year, we won't be as much penalized that we were this year. And so we can truly show, because when we went out there in the first of all, we said we're not going to play games. We're going to go, we're going to show exactly what we came here for, and hopefully our work will pay it off. Unfortunately, politics is part of the sport, but I would say that was the toughest part. But hopefully next year, with the different series, DPI, LMP2, and the rest of it, hopefully that will help us out to not be as penalized as much as it was this year.
And I assume the highlight this year was, for you and Ricky Taylor, was winning at MidOhio, Roger Penske's home state.
Yeah,
right?
It was awesome. Yeah, that was great to come back to the victory circle, because last time I won there was in IndyCar. And Ricky, by the way, I could not have a better partner. And I tell you what, he is the young guy, and every time it's like, hey, I need more time in these cars. You already have the experience, I don't, but he is so first of all, so fast, technical. The way he set up the cars, thank God, is very similar to us, and it helps that he pushed me. Now all of a sudden he's putting some amazing laps. I'm like, oh, I gotta keep going. So it is a really good team. I have to do some adjustments because he's taller than me, so I had to do some adjustments on the seat, but that's the type of things that you start thinking about. It's different than IndyCar, that you just your car, just your setup, just yourself.
Yeah.
Here you gotta thinking about compromise, and I compromise right at home. So I got to compromise as well as in the race car. So I get very good at it.
And how is it for a selfish open wheel driver to learn to share your ride with someone else?
It's tough, especially on the setup scenario, because some drivers like the car pointy, some drivers have a little more understeer. It's just different style. But the biggest challenge for me was actually I need to learn more about the car. So every time you go into a practice, you have about 5-7 laps max. So now the other guy got to go. And then I got to go jump back. So you break the rhythm. So that was for me, you always got to be ready in an IMSA series. You cannot just thinking about, okay, I'll have more time. No, you got to be ready all the time.
Do you think the Acuras are ready to make a charge for the title in 2019?
Absolutely. I felt that we learned a lot this year. We learned a lot about our competitors. And I do feel that we have a phenomenal chance to big difference from 5th and 7th on the championship, and I feel that we're going to be a contender for sure.
You've always kept yourself extremely fit, well into your mid-40s, but how physically tough are some of these endurance races? You've got the closed cockpit, these cars that give you an enormous amount of downforce. How challenging was that? Well,
the amount of downforce is very similar to the IndyCar, old IndyCar. Now the new IndyCar has much more less. In fact, when I drove at Indianapolis, I felt that, unfortunately, the hardest way. But the biggest challenge is a few little things. It's a power steering wheel, so we don't. That for me is the first time I drove with the power steering wheel ever. It's in these cars. I did testing like Formula 1 in 2002. I think I raced with your brother in 1,000 miles in Interlagos that we won. It was an Aston Martin. But again, the point is, all the time driving with this power steering wheel was actually this year. So it took me a little bit of time to understand how much you want it. You know, if you want a little stiffer or a little softer. And not only that, the windshield. People don't realize that actually driving without the windshield, you have the force of the wind. All of a sudden, your neck, now you don't have as much strength that you used to have on IndyCar, because now you have no wind. So it changed a little bit of the peripheral vision, a little bit, stuff like that. And the biggest one, it's so much information. You have more than 20 buttons on the dash, on the steering wheel, that traction control 1, traction control 2. You have so many stuff that you can actually take advantage of it. So for me, it was a crucial year to learn all the little details that you can actually play, because sometimes in IndyCar you just have same fuel, that's it, bars, and that's it. So it was definitely a learning curve for us.
Let's talk about the Indy 500.
Yes.
Impossible not to interview you and not talk about the Indy 500. It's like 1-1. You've won the event 3 times. You've been second 3 times. You've had back-to-back poles, back-to-back wins. I don't even know what I want to ask you anymore. Considering you hadn't raced in this year's aero kit.
Yes.
How were you able to get up to the level of the full-time IndyCar riders this year? Were you able to use the simulator at all, or?
I had an opportunity to drive the Chevy simulator, which helps, but it's still not the same. Driving at the Indy Grand Prix helps to bring it back a little bit of the rhythm. However, it was a different package of aerodynamics. Driving for the first time at Indy, I do believe the cause of the crash today, it was very, very unusual. I had no signal that the wheel is going to go away. I wasn't pushing in terms of running on the limit, you know, that sometimes you got to do it. I was saving basically the entire race. I was just taking it easy, waiting for the right time, which I felt that was the right time. And in normal conditions, I would say, if I knew the car, I wouldn't have that scenario happen. So it was a little bit unexpected. Still asking the engineers, they don't know. We still think it was a combination of several things, like I crossed the wake in the wrong position. I just passed 100 Ray on the outside of turn 3, so I felt that the tires might be a little bit of debris. I also was first time I was going full throttle, full power. So there was a little bit combination of things that unfortunately caused the scenario. But I do feel that knowing a little bit more about the aero kit would help me probably prevent that accident.
That's it for today's episode of Motorsport Report. We hope you enjoyed today's show, and we'll see you next time.